Okay, so I'm gonna start explaining how to do all the parts in Plummer block. So I'm referring K.R. Gopal Krishna machine drawing. That's the textbook I'll be referring for my dimensions. So based on what textbook you're using, the dimensions may vary. Now just to help you understand what I'll be talking about, I've got this image of Google. Some of the dimensions here aren't the dimensions I'll be using because some of them are wrong. Not wrong. They're different based from from my textbook dimensions. Okay, so I'm going to start off by drawing part one. This is part one, and this is I'm going to consider this as a side view for part one, and this is the top view for part one. So we're going to start off by just drawing one half of this whole portion. So I'm just going to start doing that by selecting my YZ plane, and I'm going to go into Sketcher, and so you can just start by drawing a rough figure. It won't matter right now because you're going to constrain it anyways at the end. So just do that. Okay, and yeah, I have not drawn this portion. This is you can do this as well, and then it's done. Yeah. Now you can start off by starting from here. This distance is given to me as 14, and this, just right click on this and you'll get more options, horizontal or vertical. I'm gonna give the horizontal distance and mention this as 4. Okay, and the distance from this point to the center is, to me it's given, the total distance is 168. So I'm gonna do 168 by 2, which is 84, and I'll get, it's gonna slowly start constraining itself. This distance is mentioned to me as, okay, the total distance is mentioned to me as 55, so I can do that here itself. 55 minus 14, which is 41. And this, um, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw this figure. I'm gonna draw with respect to this central line, and the distance from this central line to the next one, which is these pockets basically, is in my textbook is mentioned as 62. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give the distance from here, which will be the point from which the pocket will start, to here, is given as 31. Okay, and I'll just move this just so it makes more sense to help you get an idea of what it's gonna look like. Okay, and this distance is given to me as 12, and this is mentioned to me as 3. Now this total distance is given to me as 44, up to the next, so it's going to be 22. Similarly, this is given as 38 up to the next, but I'm gonna, again, since we're doing only one side, it's gonna be 19. So now you have your basic structure, but this is only one half of it. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna select this whole portion and mirror this with respect to the central axis. So you're gonna get something like this. You're almost done with this figure. What you have left is to finish off this semicircular structure. If you look at your figure, the reason I drew that the 3 is so that it will automatically become tangent with the circle when I erase the other portion of the circle. So I'm just going to make it the circle big initially because I don't want it to get constrained with any of the inside parts, because if that happens, then when you're erasing you won't figure out what's wrong and something may go wrong and then you won't be able to figure it out. So sometimes it's very annoying. So I'm going to mention this distance, I mean the diameter, as 38, and the central point to this, again, it's 3, if you recall, because the point, I mean, it's not 13, 3, yeah. one is more than 3. Yeah. Okay, so there we have it. Now all you're gonna do is go into your eraser tool, quick trim, and trim that off. So here you have your figure. This is how it's supposed to look like at the end. And you've done that in what? 5 minutes. Now you're just gonna go back out and mirror extend this. It's totally given as a 36, so we're gonna mirror extend it for 18. Once you have this, you'll notice this is too small. That's because we haven't yet done this portion. That's why we're going to start doing this. From the center, we're going to draw a circle. To start off that, we'll select this surface. It doesn't matter whether you're selecting this or this, just select the top surface. And we'll make a circle from the center and give the diameter. The radius is going to be 43, so the diameter is going to be 86. After we get this, what we're going to do is we're just going to take the rectangle tool and draw a small box. We're going to make this coincident with that. Okay, wait. Sorry. That line and this is going to be coincident. That edge, to be precise. And this edge is going to be coincident. Similarly, you're going to do that for this and this. After you've done that, you're going to trim the remaining portion. So just trim out the extra bits. So this is what you want, and if I rotate this, you're supposed to get this. You're gonna pad this downward. You see this extra bit, we have to remove that every time we pad. We can't have any extras. So after we get this, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna select this whole portion and mirror this with respect to this axis, so we have another one as well over here. So when we go into our pad option, we're going to pad this. Since the total distance is given as 55 and this is 40, we only wanted to come till there. We're going to pad this, reverse the direction. 55 minus 14, which is 41. And there you have your basic structure. All we have left to do is the pockets. So we're going to start off with the upper surface itself and move downward. We have a pocket over here which is mentioned as 10.5, and the distance again from here, if you remember, we took the distance while constructing initially as 31, where that portion would lie, this pocket would lie, and that's what we did. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. And all we're going to do now is select this whole portion and mirror it with respect to this axis. Go back and pocket this for 41. No, pocket up to last. Yeah. Okay, after we've got this, we have two you could say elliptical kind of pockets over here. What we have a predefined function. Elongated hole is what it's called. We're gonna select that and try to get it on this axis itself, and make a small just push it, make a small straight line, and move your mouse away from it, and you'll get this. Once you get this, you need to change this radius. The radius that's given to us is 5, so we're gonna make this 5. Okay, once we have this, we're gonna take this axis line and just draw a straight axis line. It doesn't matter where it lies. Okay, if this is made coincident, we're gonna delete this coincidence because we'll have to position this in a particular place. That particular place being the center of this entire figure. So the total length of this figure is supposed to be 8, and we want the center line to lie in the middle of that, so we're going to make this 4, and the center point, or the center of this circle, can't find the center here. Okay, Okay, there we go. From here to here is given as 4. So if we do that, this is going to become smaller in size. And the distance from here to the next pocket is given as 128. So since we're going to make this symmetric anyways, we can take that central axis and give it with respect to my horizontal axis and give the dimensions as it is 64. Yeah, it is 64, and give that distance. Now you'll notice this is moving in this direction. That's because we've not made this line um, coincident with this axis. So once you do that, your figure is going to be completely coincident. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to select this whole portion and mirror this with respect to your horizontal axis. Once you do that, you'll have one of each on both sides. After this, you're just going to pocket this up to last. Yeah, make sure you check your directions so that if you make the pocket and you don't get it, and you shouldn't start worrying that you didn't and see if you've done anything wrong. Just make sure the directions in the direction that you want. Now the final pocket is at the bottom. It's a rectangle. It's a small rectangular pocket. Actually, there are two more pockets here. It's a rectangular kind of a pocket. We're going to make both these lines uh, symmetric with the vertical axis and mention these dimensions. This is given to me as 20. Yes, this distance is given as 8. So are these distances. Okay, so it's automatically constrained since I mentioned that as 20, and this distance as well is given as 8. Once I have this, again I'm going to select this whole portion. See, this is the best part about CATIA. You have several options and you need to venture out and see how these options work. You don't need to individually make all these different parts. You don't need to make one box here, make the constraints, another rectangle here, make the constraints. All you can do is just make one and mirror if you require it. If you don't, then in some cases you'll really need to do it individually. So just check here. Just check in what scenario you'll need to use that. Now here this distance is given to me as 3, and I'm going to give a pocket, and see, there we have it. Now your final pocket is over here. It's a small square pocket, so we're just gonna make a square over here. This distance is going to be 20, so is this, and we want this in the center. Now using some basic math, you can figure out this distance to be as 21, and we want this as well to be coincident with these lines, so you can just make that coincident. And since we mentioned the distance, one side's enough. Again, what you're going to do is take this whole the figure that we made and mirror to respect to your horizontal axis. Go back and give your pocket for 7. Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about. So when I gave my pocket option, it gave the direction wasn't in the direction I wanted. It gave the direction in this direction, but I want the pocket to go inward. So if I press OK now, I'll get my pocket. Now the last thing we have is a small hole over here on this dome. I mean on the semicircular thing over there. You can make that hole by just going directly into your hole definition over here and select that surface. Once you select on that surface, you need to go into your sketcher just to make sure your things are positioned where you want it positioned. So I'm just going to push it away for a second, and I'm going to make this symmetric with this axis, I mean coincident, and then I'm going to make that point, the point I want, again symmetric, coincident with this axis. So I'll get my point right now on the center of this semicircular structure, and that's where I want it. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go into my bottom. I want the bottom to be flat, and the diameter is mentioned to me as 6, as well as the depth is mentioned as 6. So I'm quickly gonna do that, and you're gonna get your hole. There you go. And I think that's about it in Plummer block. Yeah. So this is your Plummer block part 1. And this took us what, 15 minutes to do. You're gonna now go into your, just make another part design, and we're gonna make part 2. Part 2 is this portion. I'm gonna again treat this as my front view and this is my top view. I'm basically gonna draw this entire portion and give a pad, and then I'll draw, and then you'll figure out what I'm doing. So when I'm drawing my figure, I'm gonna draw it only up to these points, this point and this, and just as how we got the sort of curve over here, we're gonna do the same over there in that case. So let's start off. I'm gonna select this and go into my sketch. The distance between the holes over here in my textbook is given as 62. So again, I'm gonna make a rectangle first. I'm gonna make both these ends coincident. I mean symmetric with, sorry, symmetric with my vertical axis. And this distance is, I'm gonna mention as 62. And this, the thickness of this rectangle is going to be 10. Yes, 10. So once I have this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another rectangle at the bottom to basically form like a kind of T. Again, I'm going to make these ends symmetric. I'm going to make this coincident over here, and this distance is mentioned to me as 44, and the height is mentioned to me as, a little neat, 12. So after I have this, I'm just gonna quickly trim this portion. Okay, so you're sort of getting an idea of what I'm getting at. Now again, I'm gonna select, I'm gonna draw a circle, and I want the circle to come on this, on the horizontal, on the vertical axis. So I'm quickly gonna draw a big circle. Okay, rather a small circle, and then I can mention the dimensions. So this is gonna be, the diameter is gonna be 38. I'm drawing this portion, this dome thingy, and the distance from this to my center in my textbook is given as 6. So again, I'm gonna mention that from this to this is 6. After you get that, you're gonna get this, and this is what we really want. So I'm just gonna remove all this portion, so you can see how our figure is slowly taking its shape rather. I'm gonna again select this point because it's from this point that the other dimension is mentioned, which is 38, and that is the dome kind of figure that covers the top portion. So it's 30, sorry, it's not 38, it's 36. So it's 72. So I'm just gonna remove out this extra portion now. Yes. So this is what we want. This is your figure basically. This half from here, this whole thing, again only till here, and then this top portion. So this is your part 2, and your part 2, it won't take too much time. All you need to do is think, or just apply yourself. I'm gonna path this. Again, I like keeping my planes in the center, so I always mirror extend my figures, and this is gonna be again for 18. After I have this, I'm gonna select either one of those surfaces and do as I did for the previous sketch. I'm gonna select the center and draw a circle and mention this diameter as what's it given? 43 again, so it's gonna be 86. And again draw a box using your rectangular tool. Make this end coincident over here. Make these two, make this end as well coincident, and this end. After you've done that, just go into your trimmer and remove these extra bits. There you go. Unselect that and select this whole thing, and go into your mirror option and select the surface. You're gonna go back out and give a pad for reverse the direction, give a pad for 10. And that's about it. You're gonna select the surface again and just give your remaining pockets. So I'm gonna make a pocket here of diameter 10.5, and the distance from here, from the center to here, is mentioned as 31. Again, select this whole portion and mirror this with respect to this. Go back out and pocket this up to last. Yeah, or 10, whatever. Again, I'm gonna just quickly select the surface, go into Sketcher. I'm gonna draw a pocket, a circle rather, from here, and mention this distance, the diameter of this, as 24. Now you can see this small portion that's intersecting over here onto this figure, and that's what I really want. So I'm just going to draw a straight line. No, I don't want this. I don't want this constraint over here. I'm quickly going to delete that. I'm also going to make this. I want this circle to lie on the center of the circle, lie on the center of this. You can do this by control and selecting both. Go into this constraint defined and click on concentricity. This will automatically make this point lie on the center of this circle. I'm gonna now make this and this coincident and trim out the rest. Now what I'm gonna do now is just select this whole portion and mirror it with respect to this surface. You'll get that over there. Go back out and pocket this in the upward direction. Okay, so reverse direction. Yeah, it doesn't matter because we want only certain amount of it to, up till where it could do its work, it'll do its work. So yeah, and there we go. You'll have a hole over here on top. Select that, go into your sketch, make it lie on the center itself. Coincident, coincident, and then just go back out and mention your dimensions. The diameter is gonna be 6. Yeah, okay. And it's actually a counter sunk, it's a counter board hole. So go over here, go into type, click on counter board. You'll get like a predefined, a preview of how it's supposed to look like. Go into your diameter, or instead of doing it here to remove all the confusion, you can do that all right over here. Just rotate the view of your figure and you'll slowly see small dimensions. You can slowly notice small dimensions and just accordingly change your dimensions over here just by double clicking on that value. So over here, this diameter I want it to be 6, and this inner diameter I want it to be 3, and I want this total length. Okay, I'm gonna make this probably 20 or 23, it doesn't matter, it's not mentioned, but this is mentioned. However, this is given to me as 10, and yeah, that's about it. Just press OK and you'll have your hole. So this is part 2, which again we've probably finished rather quickly. I hope I'm not going too quickly. I hope you can understand what I'm doing. I'm now gonna make um, parts 3 and 4. I'll start off by what we're basically going to do is we're just going to make a shaft option. I'm going to do that by selecting my profile. I'll just make a rough sketch of how my thing is supposed to look like, how my figure is supposed to look like. Okay, and I'm just going to do, I'm going to do till there. Just delete this remaining portion. I know this distance to me is given as 20, 25? No, sorry, it's totally supposed to be 25. So since I'm giving a shaft option, it's going to be 12.5. Same thing with this. This is 35 given to me, but since I want this to be since I want this to be shafted, I'm just gonna give this as 17.5, and then this is given to me as 50 in total, so 25. Also, the distances from each other. This is supposed to be 22 up to the next, so it's going to be 11. Same thing with this. This is supposed to be in total 36, so it's 18. Oh, 118, no, 18. And this distance as well is given, and it's supposed to be 25. So after I have this, I'm just going to select this whole portion, unselect my axes, and just mirror this with respect to this surface. So I'm going to get this figure. I'm going to just go back out into my shaft option, into my workbench, and I'm going to click on my shaft option and select my horizontal axis. Make sure it's 360 and just carry on. Or if you, it doesn't really matter, but if you don't want to do 360, you can go into your shaft option, click on this and make this 180. You're just gonna get it like that. It wouldn't really matter. I like to keep it 360, so I'm keeping it my way. I'm just gonna select the surface now, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw first a circle, because I want this is supposed to be kind of a semicircular kind of thing in the middle. If you notice this is hollow. Yeah, so you're gonna have something going over here. So I'm gonna make this as 25, and also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just draw a big rectangle. I'll make sure this end is coincident over there, and it doesn't really matter how big the rectangle is, because all I wanted is to remove the complete bottom portion. So I'm gonna remove that. Now I'm gonna give a pocket option, and it's gonna remove anything within this figure. So that's why it doesn't really matter where this thing lies, because either way there's nothing over there. So again, I'm gonna just pocket this. It's gonna pocket till there. I wanted to pocket up to last, and it's gonna remove that whole portion. Wow. 35, 38. Okay, wait. Let me just quickly go into my figure. I made a small calculation mistake. This is supposed to be, okay, this is supposed to be 17.5, and that's supposed to be 19. 19.5. Yep. Just press OK. Everything was sorted out itself. Yeah, the central portion went blank because this is supposed to be 25 and the radius is 12.5, and since this was 12.5, this whole thing went. So just be a bit careful of that with your measurements. Okay, so once you have this portion, if you notice, there's a small, and this is part 3. There's a small circular kind of um what can I say, a kind of circular cylinder that pops out of here, that's gonna fit into this portion of your main base, and this is that circular rod kind of thing that I'm talking about. So we're gonna make that by selecting this plane. Since your figures are always being made with respect to the center, that's why I'm gonna select that plane. I'm now gonna make a small rectangle over here. Okay, there we go. Whatever. Okay, and this distance I'm gonna mention as 3 because I'm gonna shaft this. The total length is given as 6. Now the height that's supposed to pop up is 5, but I'm gonna mention 7. Or actually wait, I'll mention 5 itself, and I'll make this coincident with this surface. I don't I think it'll go inward. Yeah, it will. Okay, so I'm gonna delete that. Just bring this down. Okay, probably what you can do, I'll have to pocket this whole portion again to remove that. But anyway, um, make this coincident over there. Just go back out and shaft this. This is basically what we require, but we're gonna have that at the bottom over here as well. So trying to think of another way how we can do it. Okay, but anyway, you'll get the point. Basically, this is what you really require. What I'm gonna now do is, okay, so to make the other part, it's quite simple. Just select this shaft and this sketch, and just Control C this. Go into a new path design. Select that same surface, same plane that you used to make the plane of the previous figure, and just Control V. You'll get this. You don't need to do all the measurements again. And this, I would say, to do only for this part, since both have the same dimensions, only there are a few slight changes. Again, I'm just going to select the surface quickly and do the same procedure. Make a circle of 25 and a box, a rectangle rather, of whatever, and just trim these portions. Go back out and pocket this up to last, and you'll get this again. This is again what you require. Go back out over here, and you need to make a quick hole on this surface. Click your hole definition and select that surface. Go into your sketcher to make sure this is positioned right in the center. So I'm just going to move it away for a sec and select that surface. Make it coincident, and again press OK since you're done. Select that and select this axis, and again make it coincident. So once I have this, the hole is basically going to be in the center, and I'm going to pocket this for a distance of, for a diameter of 4. The depth won't really matter. This is just going to do its work up to the end. If you really want the calculation, that's, I think, probably 2.5 or whatever. I'm just gonna press OK. So you'll get your hole over there. So this is part 3 and 4 done. Now one thing while doing the next part is it would require a little work, but if you really want it to look like how it's supposed to look, the small work that you're going to do right now is going to be very helpful anyways. So what I'm going to first start doing, I'm doing part 5 by the way, the bolt over here, and to get this kind of shaved off edge kind of thing, I'm not going to be using the edge fillet option. Instead of that, I'm gonna be making a profile and then growing, making using with the help of the groove option. I'm gonna make that kind of cut off edges. Okay, so first I'm gonna go into, yeah, or it wouldn't really, I don't think it would. Yeah, I'm just gonna go into parallelogram. I'm just gonna draw like a horizontal line like this and move. I don't want the constraints. I'm just gonna put it somewhere over here. I'm now gonna delete um, those parallel kind of constraints already given, and I'm gonna give my own constraints. I'm gonna basically make a rhombus over here, not, or you can say even a square, but it's gonna be kind of diamond shaped. So I'm gonna select this surface and then this and give this angle as 90. It's gonna just move a bit like this, so accordingly just adjust your figure. Yeah, you don't need to freak out about that. And just mention this distance, I mean the angle over here as well as 90. Okay, it actually would have been a good idea to keep at least one of them, at least one of those parallel kind of constraint. Okay, delete. So what I'm now gonna do is I'm just gonna draw diagonals. Okay, what now I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this and select this surface and make this coincident. Do the same thing over here. So this is my diamond basically. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna select both these lines and make these geometry lines, and I'm gonna mention this distance as 20, or rather 18, since that's the what happened? Oh, okay. I freaked out for a sec. I didn't notice it's gone inward. Okay, so the head total length is given to me. Each side is given to me as 6. I mean 18. The reason why I'm doing this is now my figure is like this. So every time I select my plane, your figure is always going to remain in this kind of way, and this is basically what I want. I can't really explain, or rather I'm finding a bit hard to explain what the reason why I'm doing it like this, but you'll eventually figure out why I'm doing it like this. So let me just proceed on with this. I'm just gonna mirror extend this, one of my bad habits. And since the total thickness of the head is given as 6.5 and I'm mirroring it, so 6.5 by 2, 3.25. After I have this, now I'm just gonna select the surface itself and draw a circle of dia 12, no, dia 10, and go back and give a pad option for this. A total pad of 75. Now this, yeah, bolt is slowly taking its shape. Now the reason why I now the reason will slowly come up. Now if you see, I'm gonna, like I said before, I'm gonna use this option, the groove option. For me to do that, I'm basically gonna draw a small triangle over here on one of this end on the corner, and it's gonna groove that throughout. To do that, I'm gonna select, probably I can say this uh plane, that. Now I'm just gonna make a random triangle. Yeah, and I'm gonna mention this distance as you could say probably 45. Yeah, okay, wasn't necessary, but anyways. Now I'm just gonna slowly position this. Um, wait, firstly, let me make this a little more smaller. Probably say 5. This is very irritating. It's not really going where I want it to go, but hold on. Okay, wait. Instead of just drawing a triangle, I think I can do this. No, hold on. Okay, so the reason why it's not moving freely is because it's a small triangle and it's moving within these grids. So what I'm right now going to do is a simple constraint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this point and just make it coincident. So it lies on this. Okay, wait. Yeah, this point and this edge itself, not this point, coincident. So it lies on the same, you could say line kind of thing. And I'm gonna give the distance between this point and this point. Okay, and I'm just gonna mention this distance as, let's say, probably 4. I just want little bit of the triangle to go inside the the thing that of this kind of rectangular thing that I've drawn. Now if I go back and if I give a groove option and if I select this surface, you will see the your figure slowly taking its shape. So this is the bolt that you want. Now what I'm just gonna do now is, it's not really necessary in this case, but yeah, I'll just show you anyways. You have an option over here called thread and tap, thread or tap rather, and it has a lateral face and a limit face. These are what basically define your threading. So make sure you click threading, or depending whatever you want, thread or tap. Your lateral face is going to be the cylindrical surface itself, and the limit face is going to be the face from which you want the threading to start from. And I want the threading to start from here and go inward, or you can reverse the direction and go wherever you want, but I wanted to go inward in this direction. So I'm going to select this surface and you'll see the threading slowly going. So the thread for me is given as thread diameter, leave it as the same. Thread depth is given as 26. I'm just gonna give that. You won't see any change over here. The only change you'll see is in your drafting. So that's it. This is part 5. Um, you can, for your bolts, for the bolts that you'll have to do, you can either what can I say? You can either take it from your catalog itself, which is here. Catalog browser looks like a book, but I like to make the bolts myself. I'll quickly show you how to make the bolts. So I'm just gonna go into another predefined function, which is the hexagon. Just let it go vertically up like that. Mention one of these ends as 10, and yeah, okay, you don't need to constrain it more, it's fine. I'm gonna pad this for, it doesn't really matter how much I pad it for, because they've given the thickness of the, in my textbook it's 8 and it's 5. So what I'm gonna pad this for whatever, 20. Okay, now I'm just quickly gonna go into insert. I'm gonna insert a body. The reason why I'm gonna insert this body is, eventually you have a function over here called boolean, under boolean operations, it's called intersect. And the reason why I'm going to draw a circle now, and the reason why I'm not going to draw it on this is, since I'm using the intersect function, if I draw it on this body itself, the software itself gets confused, and it's like, what am I going to intersect it with? But since I've drawn it on this body itself, on this part design, that's why I'm going to draw it on this body, the body that I've just inserted. It's like a virtual kind of part design in this part design. So at least that's my understanding of it. So I'm going to double click on this. I'll select this surface and go into sketch. So just to double check and see if since you're not drawing on this part body, you'll get a sketch under body. Now I'll go into my sketcher, select circle. I'm not going to mention diameter because I'm going to select that and select one of the edges and make this coincident. Now what I'm going to do is, now how much I pad this for determines what's the thickness of my bolt will be. So I'm going to pad this for 8 since that's how much I want it for. You'll get this. What I'm quickly going to do is just give an edge fillet of about 2 or 3. 3 is fine. And the amount of edge fillet that you give will determine the curvature of the bolt head. So you're going to get two options like this: intersect, and what you're going to intersect it with. So you're going to select this for your intersecting, and you're going to intersect it with that. Just press OK, and you'll get your bolt. To quickly finish this off, just select your hole definition. I'm not going to constrain it, you can do that yourself. Threaded, metric thick, M10 hole. Yeah. And there you go. This is one bolt. What you can do is, now you can just, since you're making two, you can save this as one part. So you'll go and save it as whatever you want. Then you can just quickly go into your body and this pad, change it to 5, and so you've got another part already. So you finish part 6 and part 7 in like 2 seconds. And make sure you save, don't click on save, click on save as, and change the name and save it as whatever you want. So this is the whole part making of Plummer block. It took me about 47 minutes or 48 minutes or so to explain everything. I hope this helps, and thanks for watching.